a lot of people talk about doing something you love and being in an industry or putting your energy and passion behind something you love. So I think your business is sort of an extension of yourself. You're not going to go into business if you're not passionate about the outcomes you're trying to create. And I think that's the way that I operate. And it's part of it comes back to our vision. It's about the outcomes that we create, and it's driving the business to create those outcomes. And whether that's through partnerships with our clients, or whether that's through employment, we're trying to create as many outcomes as we can. So that's what we've tried to align the vision behind and the purpose.
Mm.
I was looking for other opportunities, and I became familiar with this trend that was emerging in Australia called supply diversity, and that's where corporate and government buyers are looking to work with diverse suppliers, whether that's Aboriginal-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, disability-owned businesses, so different diverse businesses. There's an organisation in Australia called Supply Nation, and they modelled the concept from the United States. So the United States has an organisation called NMSDC, which stands for National Minority Supplier Development Council, and it represents all minorities in business in America. So African American businesses, Hispanic American, Asian American, Native American businesses. It's basically a matchmaking organisation that connects those businesses with corporate and government buyers. And there's some businesses in the US that are multi-billion-dollar businesses that are minority-owned because of this. And that's where the idea was modelled from that organisation, and they took the learnings and brought it back here to Australia and created Supply Nation.
Wow.
So
And so you saw that and you thought, wow, that's not only a great initiative, but it also is in line aligned with my personal beliefs and something that I'm passionate about, which is helping
mhm.
Indigenous Australians.
I thought, if these corporate and government buyers are looking to support Aboriginal business, then they would believe in my vision and what I'm trying to achieve in my business. I mean, everybody needs office supplies, but what we've found, I guess, over the past 6 years or so, is that those larger organisations really understand and appreciate our value, and whether it comes back to those things I touched on about, being a strong corporate citizen and you know or they understand the business case that working with the supplier that has a purpose or a vision, or a diverse supplier, or whether it's trying to create an environment that their staff appreciate their organization for what they do. I've heard it before, and people say you should try to choose the clients you work with as well. And we, in the early stages, maybe didn't do that as much, but we do like to make sure that our clients really understand our value and understand the value that we provide as a business.
And that's the point I want to make. I want the listeners to think: is our purpose, is that really in line with our clients, and do we communicate that well? Like, do they want to see us on our journey? Do they want to? You kind of want to make your business a bit of a character and a story that they,
Mhm.
they can cheer for,
Yeah.
and you want it to be a good character.
Some of our customers, KPMG Programmed Group, who we work with, I started developing relationships probably 3 to 4 years before we did any business with them, and that comes down to contract cycles, but also a little bit of wanting to test you out as a business to see. Let's see if in 6 months or 12 months they're still there. Let's see who else is working with them. I think there's a little bit of that as well.
You could go start building relationships, be friends with all the ones, not the boss one, all the ones under him, because eventually the boss one's going to be fired. All these big corporates, their turnover is always high. If you're friends with all the others, then the boss one leaves eventually. You'd be like, oh hey, bro, can you like switch us over? We're already mates, and you don't even know that other company, and they probably would.
It does. It's as much as we joke about it. It does happen like
Of
that,
course
and
it does. It's
it's all
exactly.
about
I could almost
relationships.
guarantee there would be a high majority of change happening in corporations is done because someone's moved in the company, someone's
Mm.
changed.
Yeah, and that's why those relationships I'd built in those organizations over 4 or 5 years. It's every 6 months you're going in there and you're having a conversation. You're catching up with them, and then you're front of mind. And then when an opportunity comes up, they remember you because you're
Yeah.
always in their face.
How often are you in touch with them? How are you taking them for lunch? Do you just catch up for a phone call?
So catching up for a coffee or for lunch, definitely, and really just talking about. It's really talking about the industry, talking about how we're going as a business. That they're genuinely interested in
Mm.
your journey as well. So even when they're not working with you, they want to understand your journey. And I think it comes down to those things we talked about before. It's if they know you're winning other contracts, then they know that you're serious,
Yeah.
and that puts you in good stead when they do have an opportunity.
if you're in their face regularly with good communication, with hey, look how strong we are, look at the wins we've got on the board,
Mhm.
we still want you, we still love you, we want you. Eventually, they're going to come.
Don't give up. You got to be persistent. It's what I've done. It's worked for us. It's just
Yeah.
consistently being in there. And, I'm pretty stubborn. I don't like to take no for an answer. So there is a fine line. Obviously, if you get a definitive no, like they're never going to want to work with you, then,
I'd still go for it.
I do at some point give up, or you just give it more time before you go back because, something could have changed. And I think, there's no out of the box proposals. We research those organizations, find out what their sustainability goals are, their environmental goals, KPIs around other things, tailor our responses in our proposal to meet those things.
Yeah.
So that all creates value because and even some of the terminology and wording that they use in their vision or their about website, we
You
use some
use
of
it.
those words
Yeah.
and keywords to make it feel like familiar to them.
Would you say the partnerships have been a major key to your success?
Yeah, definitely. That whether that's partnering with, or having that mentor relationship early on in my business. Also, the organization I partnered with who helped me get the supply chain for the cartridges early on. One of those guys works for Lend Lease. So he's been a strong advocate and a strong, I guess, mentor in understanding the corporate landscape and how corporates operate. And we don't work with Lend Lease, but obviously just his insight into how corporate works. So those two guys early on in my career, those relationships were really vital.
Mhm.
And then yeah, just having industry relationships, having relationships in the community. I think it's extremely important because we've never won a tender or a bid where there was no relationship previously.
Mm.
So whenever if I've received it across my desk or in my inbox, an opportunity to tender on something, and we don't have any relationship with that organization, we've never won, and we just decline them. Generally, what's in the tender documentation is not everything you need to know to win.
Mm.
There's things that uh, other pieces of information that if you had, you'd be able to put forward a more compelling offer, or you'd be able to understand what they actually want. Sometimes they don't say what they actually want in those documents, and if you don't have a relationship and
You
understand
won't
that,
know it
you
then.
won't know it.
Yeah, that's so true. And
So
the obvious relationship is COS, isn't it?
yeah, cause
And that's
definitely.
obviously another huge relationship that's allowed you to expand
Without
nationally.
them, we wouldn't have our capability, the national footprint, and it takes a lot of risk away from organisations working with us.